is someone who has been telling the truth on Palestine and telling the truth on Gaza and challenging media lies. You're going to have to wait for the speaker. There's a bit of a chant in the front, so, okay? We've got lots of speakers to get through, all right? And you'll all get what you want, but not quite yet. Right, okay. Our next speaker is one of those journalists, like Seamus Mill, that's been speaking out for truth, for justice, and for freedom for Palestine. I give you Owen Jones.
Speaker is Owen Jones. Owen Jones.
What a show! What a show of defiance, of anger, and of solidarity with the Palestinian people. Friends, amid the horror, amid the misery, this is what gives hope. Just look at the breadth of opposition. Muslims and Jews, Christians and atheists, standing in solidarity together with the sisters and brothers as they attack in Palestine. Friends, in one month, 1 in every 1,000 Gazans were murdered by the Israeli state. That is a statistic as horrifying as it gets. Because this is not a conflict. This is not a war. This is a massacre. A massacre by the occupier against the occupied. Now, our critics often tell us this. They say, in a world of such suffering, in a world of such bloodshed, why aren't we out marching about Syria and Iraq? And we do stand in solidarity with Syrians. We do stand in solidarity with Iraqis. But here is the key point to make. Here is the key point. Our governments fund, arm and support Israel. They are complicit with every single Israeli attack, with every single maiming, with every single death. And we will march until our governments stop arming and supporting the Israeli occupation. That is why we're here today. Now, friends, remember apartheid in South Africa. Remember how strong it seemed. Remember how well armed. Remember how invincible. Did apartheid not fall? Friends, as apartheid fell, the occupation of Palestine will fall as well. That is a certainty. Because all oppression, no matter how strong or well armed or how invincible it seems, will fall. Now, friends, this is our message to the Palestinian people. Yes, you're up against the military superpower, armed to the teeth with everything up to including nuclear bombs. Yes, you have the support of Western governments, the Israel. But the difference is this. The Palestinian people have the hearts of billions of us across the world. So just to finish up, these are our demands. The West must stop arming Israel. The siege of Gaza must end. Every soldier must leave. And every settlement in the West Bank must be dismantled. No ifs and no buts. And we must have an independent, free Palestine, giving Arabs and Jews alike justice and security. Friends, we stand together, we fight together, we will win this together. Free Palestine!
Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! We have taken to the streets of London. We have blocked the streets of London. But I want all of you to go after today and organise to take over your streets next weekend, because we've called for a local day of action next Saturday. And there are people here from every single corner of Britain, and we need you to go back and spread the word that we want you all out next Saturday. So give me a shout out if you're from London, if you're from Birmingham, if you're from Bolton. I've got a special treat for all of you who came down from Bolton. Bolton, one of the people who came down with you is your MP, and she's here to speak to you today. Yasmin Qureshi.
Friends, comrades, thank you so much for coming today. It's so nice to see so many of you, because the Palestinian people need to know that the world outside is bothered about them, is concerned about them, and will come out and demonstrate on their behalf. Now, you know, some of the people in the media and others try to make this about hating Jews or being against Judaism. It isn't. This is about the right of Palestinian people to be able to live in their homelands. There are many Jewish people who don't like what Israel is doing and who are fighting for the Palestinians. And I'll give you a name of one very famous person many years ago, Professor Albert Einstein. He was asked to become the president of Israel, and he declined. He said no, because there was no just rights for the Palestinians. So we have many good Jewish people as well who support Palestine. But they do this. Why do they do it? Because they want to hide away what Israel is doing in Gaza, what Israel is doing in West Bank, what Israel is doing in East Jerusalem. Every action of Israeli government over the last 40, 50 years has meant more and more Palestinians have got expelled from their home. There are 5 million Palestinians wandering the streets of the Middle East, trying to get back into their home. In Gaza, they are being subjected to collective punishment. 1,800 civilians have died. That's what Israel don't want you to talk about. That is their friends in the establishment don't want to talk about. The illegal settlements, 500,000 of them. By the end of this, if Israel carries on the rate it is, there will be no room for the Palestinians. So that's why meetings, demonstrations like these are important. That's why we need to lobby the politicians, that we need to lobby other governments and the USA and other governments. We need to tell them, solve this problem, and they can do so. Because if they stop arming Israel, if they stop giving monies to Israel, if they don't take any actions against Israel in the UN, then Israel will carry on doing what it is. So what we need to do is carry on fighting for our governments and governments across the world to actually bring solution and peace and justice for Palestinians who only want their homeland. Free Palestine!
That's Yasmin Qureshi, MP for Bolton.